Hello and welcome to Hobby Homies. We are your weekly tabletop podcast. I'm Shane. As always, I'm hanging out with Fox.
Cheers, friends.
Cheers indeed. Today we are diving back into a little series we like to call Unfamiliar Wargames, where we dig through the archives and find some games that we don't know much about, and hopefully you guys don't know much about either. And I guess more importantly, hoping that the other doesn't know what we've been looking at. So
It's quickly becoming my favorite series for that reason, because I know jumping on, I get to be a listener for a little bit and hear you talk about two games that I've probably never heard of, and if I have, I probably don't know much about them.
That's what we aim for.
As war gamers, we just froth that, especially you and I, little hobby butterflies.
That's right. Any new system, we've already got our ATM cards out ready to go. They still call them ATM cards? Or they call it?
I don't know if they have ATMs anymore.
Cash is dead.
We've got our phones out with our RFID chips ready to go.
Oh, of course.
Except
one time I was in the service station and I left my wallet at home, and it took me longer to set that up on my phone than it would have been to drive home, get my wallet, and drive back again.
But only once. Next time, it's on your phone. So
True.
There you go. And that's our tip for today. But
don't leave your wallet at home.
This episode, before we get into it, is brought to you fine listeners from our amazing Patrons, and you can be one of them.
If you wish.
You should be honored to be one of them. That's a lie. But we're honored for you to even consider it.
That's right.
We've got some tiers that start at $2, go all the way up to $15. Different rewards and prizes. Not prizes, is that right? Anyways,
kind of.
What do you call those things that
rewards?
You give? It's a different thing. Anyways, incentives? I don't know. Have a little sus. You can jump on hobbyhomies.com, click the Patreon button, and have a little sus. We always put that money back into the podcast, be it giveaways. That's basically it. That costs everything.
Yeah. Or sometimes we buy a new tech and we play around with that. Well, Churchy plays around with that. We just
exactly. We don't see it at all.
The lights on it.
What does that do? Churchy says, "You shut up and sit in the booth."
Fade to black. So again, check out Patreon if you'd like. But Fox, I want to know what games you've been digging through.
So the first one I'm super excited to talk about. So this game is called Halo Ground Command.
Shivers down my spine when you mention that H word, man. I froth Halo like from back in the day, Xbox Classic.
Yep. Combat Evolved, baby.
Me and Churchy played Heroic and not Heroic, Legendary, clocked it.
Yep.
I think we cried.
Yeah.
It was emotional.
Is it that last level where you're in the Warthog and you're trying to...
Yeah, you're racing down the Pillar of Autumn and you're like jumping through, and then you like run onto the Pelican and...
that's one of them gaming moments.
That is when boys become men.
I'm sneezing. I'm sneezing with excitement.
Yeah, of course. Why else would you sneeze?
Yeah, I've never sneezed for any other reason.
No.
So you're right. This is a sci-fi mass. Excuse me for a moment.
Yes, beer is the cure for all ailments.
I feel better. I may sneeze again. Who knows?
Yeah. Who knows?
Spoilers. So Halo Ground Command is So look, it's as amazing as it sounds because it is Halo.
Yeah.
It's not a different Halo. It is the Halo franchise.
Yeah.
So it's a sci-fi mass battle tabletop game set in the Halo universe, released mid 2016. So quite recent. It uses 15mm scale, Covenant and UNSC models, which are the two opposing forces released.
Yep.
So imagine little square bases akin to what you would get in Flames of War.
Yep.
But it's instead of got little troops on it, it's got 3 little grunts or an elite and 2 grunts, some jackals, some little UNSC forces.
Yeah.
The original set that was released was the Battle of Reach.
Reach, yeah.
Yeah, it was Reach, but I can't remember what they called it. Anyway, so it was those UNSC Marine type things versus the more primitive Covenant. Not primitive, but you know.
Yeah. The old school grunts and
Yeah. The vehicles are not on bases, so you got these cool ghosts and warthogs rolling around.
Oh, man.
It's incredible. And 15 millimeter, so it's made for that bigger scale, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, which is actually different to what I would instinctively think of a Halo game. Now, a little bit of us talking about Halo is going to assume people kind of know what it is, but it's just it's the game that came out originally with Xbox. It was
it was the Xbox game. Like,
Yeah.
that was the reason. I mean, I know that was the reason why I begged my parents to buy me an Xbox for Christmas.
Yeah. I actually knew because
Churchy's got one. Can you get one for me?
That's it. And like I was in the first wave of people getting the Xbox, so it was like I remember it came with 2 games. You got to pick, it was Halo, and you got to pick the second one from a list of like 3 because on release there was only a handful of games.
Yeah.
And Dead or Alive 3 was one of them, which was the combat game.
Yes, I had that one too.
That game's phenomenal. And so when it came out, I was like, Stewie, you can have Halo if you want, and I'll take Dead or Alive 3. He was like, yeah, sure, whatever. He's like, what's Halo? I'm like, I got no idea, man. It's got a guy and a gun with it. You know, we played a ton of sci-fi games. I was just like, here's another sci-fi game. But it's anything but. It is the game that made the Xbox, you know? There's like 7 of them now, and there's a new one actually coming out that looks incredible at the end of this year. But anyways, we're not here to talk about that Halo. We're talking about the tabletop game. So those who know what it is are going to be insanely excited about this. Those who don't may find some interesting things in it. So the game has like wraiths, ghosts, jackals, grunts, warthogs, Spartans. It's every Halo fan's wet dream.
Yep.
The figures were an interesting mix of metal and plastic.
Okay.
Yeah, so originally like the troops and stuff were metal. The Warthog was like plastic with a metal gun. I think they had a few different guns that could go on the back.
Yeah, that's kind of old school. Like that was a thing for a while, especially with a lot of like GW stuff. It was like the body was metal and the arms were plastic because the arms were like an upgrade or something like that.
Yeah.
So, interesting they did that.
This company's obviously gone for like the most cost-effective options, like they had to in the old school days to save on funds because like no one wargamed, you know. So straight off the bat, I can hear people. This is what I was asking myself: who produced this game, and why the heck haven't I heard of it? For those who haven't heard of it, well, the game was produced by Spartan Games, who in 2015 had announced they had a licensing deal from Microsoft Games to produce Halo-themed tabletop games.
Okay.
That's huge.
Yep.
Like, imagine, even just 6 years later, today, if some company announced that. It's big. You know, Privateer Press or... Not GW. Trying to think of another company.
It'd be the same if like Mantic said, like, we're making Blizzard stuff, you know? Like,
exactly.
It's massive news,
It's an insanely huge, popular franchise and IP that a company's grab their hands on, and Spartan Games weren't massive at this time.
No,
they had a few good games with a bit of a player base, but they weren't like you know, the type of company you would expect to snag bloody Halo. So Spartan Games gets this deal and immediately produces Halo Fleet Battles, which was a space game depicting the events of Halo lore. Using Halo vessels from the Halo universe.
That's cool.
It's very cool. The ships look incredible. And a year later, they then released their ground assault game called Halo Ground Command.
Yeah.
So grab the license in 2015, immediately make a fleet battle game. Then a year later, make their ground command. They're pumping this thing out.
Oh yeah.
They also had Spartan Games also had like surprising freedom in their model design, but also work closely with 343 Industries, which is Microsoft's Halo. What do you call that one? That subsidiary?
Yeah.
And they actually designed new vehicles not previously seen in any Halo canon.
Oh, okay. Spicy.
So this company, this slightly small company, they're working with 343 and are actually expanding on the Halo universe within their tabletop game.
Oh yeah, so many companies would not let that fly. Like it's like you don't fuck with our stuff. Like you make what we've got, you know. That's it.
Yeah, it was crazy that Star Wars allowed to get like a video game to make up an entirely new story and make it all canon, like new races. That blew people's minds. But this is nutty because this is smaller than a video game. So to allow them to have that, I was crazy. I was blown away by that.
Yeah.
So they're pumping it out. They're working with 343. Then in 2017, only a year later, they shut down.
Oh,
Spartan Games shut down due to not being able to service its liabilities.
okay. So they made promises they couldn't keep.
Yeah, they were in debt and they were hemorrhaging money. So the company made a statement about a heap of different factors, but to me it sounds like they completely overestimated the costs involved with taking on a huge license.
Yeah.
Or they overestimated the success that the Halo name would bring to their small company and their small game.
Yeah.
So why am I talking about a dead game, Shane?
Why are you talking about a dead game, Fox?
Well, I'll tell you. Because it isn't.
It isn't?
The company that made this game is definitely gone, and the game is out of production, but the scene for it is arguably better than ever.
So you just hyped me up only to smash me back down again, because like I thought that someone was bringing it back and I'd be able to go into a store and order it.
Well, Shane, keep the seatbelt on because this roller coaster is going to keep going. So Halo Ground Command actually like lives on now because it has an insanely thriving Facebook group of enthusiastic gamers that share a print and play version of the game. So there's STLs for all the models. Meaning you can SLA print all the like resin print any of the miniatures that you need. And then the rules for them are they're updated, errated by the community.
Oh wow!
Balanced by the community. And if you don't know a resin printer, I mean, check out the Goblins Forge.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the friends of the podcast, he'll print them out for you, hands down. And for a fee, there's members on that same group that will do it for you if you're not Australian or, postage would be too much to get it from the Goblins Forge. So the Facebook group has 3,000 members.
Wow.
And they've got a community rule book and balanced tweaks. Yeah, it's incredible, man. There's one bloke called Vincent Colburn, who I just want to give a quick shout out to. Looks to be one of the key drivers of this group. He created from scratch all the STLs. And they're up there for free, by the way. So you just go to files on their Facebook group. Go to their OneDrive with all the STLs for all the units so that you can print and play this game straight away. Download the PDF of the rules. Bada bing, bada boom. You're playing Ground Assault. Yeah. He also organizes some cool community events like Grunttober, which is finishing up, but people just painted grunts, which was cool. Very cool to see them. He puts together units cards and things like that. One member of the Facebook summed up nicely when he said, "Who wants to start a GoFundMe for Vincent's back surgery he'll need after single-handedly carrying this community?" I was like, and after all, I was reading, I was like, yeah, that's fair. I'll chip in on that. Poor dude needs a second spine just to hold the first one up. So I don't know. I'm kind of one of those people, right? That's like, if the company that makes the game is no longer making it, I don't really want to play it. Community rules have never really interested me until I looked into Halo Ground Command, because now you've taken away, it's all accessible. The access isn't an issue. If you want to buy original models, don't even think about it. People charge like $200 for a couple of jackals.
Wow. Yeah.
Or $700 for a used copy of the starter box.
Yeah. That's insane.
It's nuts, and you don't need it because the models that Vincent made, they're incredible. The files are awesome.
I would, sorry to interrupt, but I would probably be more inclined to play a game like this that's been resurrected by the community, because, like, for one, they're not going to be making the rules around selling models, right? Like, we all know,
exactly.
Like, we don't need to say the name, but we all know there's one particular company that does that, right? They make their rules like around
great
selling
for now
models.
games. Oh no, just kidding. Yeah, I'm just kidding. Graham never does that.
No, but yeah, of course it is. But like, so you're not going to be like, all right, well, obviously I'm going to need X amount of these guys. Oh, but there's only 4 in a box, and they're $100. Like, so it's everything's going to, and I mean, the fact that it's free, but like, or free STLs, only paying for the printing, but
Yeah.
yeah, like the fact that the community is doing all that, like you're not going to have that sort of issue, I think.
No,
So,
in fact, that like you mentioned, that's what makes it more enticing. It's like
yeah,
now you've got people working on the game whose their only motivation is their passion for it.
yeah,
So there's
yeah,
no monetary value. You know, they're not trying to release new rules just to keep it vibrant and fresh. They're not trying
yeah,
to shift power so that old units are now good. Bad units are now good. So you go and buy them because you never had them before because they're bad. You
yeah,
know, you're
yeah,
not jumping on that merry-go-round. They're not a big problem this company originally had was they bought this new IP and they were forced to make stuff for
yeah,
this Halo game because they're losing money if they're not. But
yeah,
then the old 2 games that they had were sort of dying down and people were getting quite annoyed. So they went back to that, right? Their attention was shifted and all over the place and they've got
yeah,
stakeholders and all that kind of
yeah,
stuff. This
yeah,
community, they're 100% all in on making this game as fun and available as they can because they love it more than you do,
yeah, yeah,
you know?
yeah. Oh yeah,
So that's what entices me about it. I'm like, well, and also, you know, it's not going to go out of production tomorrow.
no,
'Cause it's already been there and
yeah,
it's on life support indefinitely.
yeah. It's a
As long as there's,
vegetable.
yeah, it's a vegetable.
Yeah,
Exactly.
just don't go pulling the plug.
Nah, that's it. Someone already
Yeah.
tried and they were like, oh my gosh, this vegetable is sentient. It
Yeah.
doesn't need the plug. That's exactly what this game is, a
Yeah.
sentient vegetable.
Love it. Love it.
But it's awesome, man. And just like, there's kind of a casual vibe to it, right?
Yeah.
You can make campaigns for it. There's no pressure to follow any particular, like no one's going to run a tournament in store except for
No.
you. I mean, they have local meetups over there in the States for this game from this
Oh
Facebook
yeah.
group.
Yep.
And when it was pumping, it was getting played at Adepticon and whatnot. So,
Yep. Yeah.
like, I kind of like that casual nature where it's like, let's just throw down and kind of tweak some rules if we want. And, you know,
Yeah.
there's no pressure or expectation for us to meta stomp or prepare for these upcoming, you know. Yeah, I don't know.
Nah, sounds sick. So, what's the Facebook group called?
The
Or how do you find
Facebook,
it?
so go to Facebook and just give it the old Google Halo ground command.
Okay. Google, so we're going to Facebook and we're
Yeah,
googling Halo Group.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool.
So go open Facebook and then get a different tab into Google. Right, Halo ground command.
Halo Ground Command Facebook. Yeah.
Facebook. Yeah, and then go back to Facebook and type in the search for Halo ground command and see which one gets you there first.
Okay.
Efficiency.
Yeah. Sweet.
Yeah, but jump in there, have a little look. You'll see all the cool stuff people are printing out. The Wraiths, which are like the big vehicles.
Big
It's just
tanks.
cool, dude.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And you can scale it up and then they've got a secondary Facebook group that you can jump to through this one.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a 28 millimeter skirmish version of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Which might be cooler, but probably less supported is the trade-off, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, because Halo, the game, was always fought in like little skirmishes, you know.
Well, I mean, yeah, as playing the protagonist, you were always on your own most of the time. So like
Yeah,
but like before all that happened in the lore, you know, there was big battles. You know, like where a whole bunch of Marines were going against the Covenant, you know, like in the lore you're just like one of the last ones left.
Yeah.
So in the game. So yeah.
And this is because it's the precursor to all of that. This has no named characters, which is great for immersion, right? Because you can just make this scene up.
You don't need no Master Chief.
Nah, there's no Master Chief. You are the Master Chief. The mechanics, I didn't even talk about the mechanics, and I won't, because you can just go check out the free PDF on the Facebook group. But their sound, the cards for the units are nice and clean and concise. It's a great game. It's quick. It's hard hitting.
Nice.
The company originally designed it to be played in under 90 minutes.
Wow.
Of course, you can make it bigger and play it all day. But it does have that real quick. I watched a video where, like, turn one, he threw 2 warthogs up on the flank and shot into 4 tiles of grunts, which was like, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 12 grunts. They're all gone from that.
Wow.
Turn one, all of them dead.
Yeah.
I was like, that's cool. Positioning is everything. Hard hitting, fast, and it's Halo, dude. Need I say more?
Yeah. Hell yeah. No, that sounds sick. I know I'll be checking it out.
Yeah, let's do it. I'll get the Goblins Forge to print this, a couple of 2 small factions,
Hell yeah.
We'll play on a little 3x3, and we'll just. Do you prefer Covenant or you and
Me,
SC?
you know me, dude. I'll play either. I am as true to 50-50 as I can be.
Excellent. That's all I needed to know, dude, because I'm playing Covenant. So
Alright.
I'm 50-50 right on the Covenant.
Okay.
Yeah, awesome. Can't wait, dude.
Sweet.
So
Yep.
that's my 2 hours on my game. What do you
Get
got
ready for
me?
my 4
I'm
minutes
so excited,
of my
man.
game.
How many? 4 minutes?
Yeah. No. No. So the game I'm talking about is Sludge, or it's called Sledge War. I see you taking your headphones off there. You had enough?
Sorry. Yeah. Do you need me for this?
No.
Okay. Good. Yeah. I guess I'll hang around. I haven't got much on. So
So Sludge, I'm gonna have to give old mate in the Discord Vumu a quick shout out here because he put me on a Sludge.
Yep.
It is a fantastical take on the Black Powder era. So we're talking knights, muskets, mounted like cavalry, swordsmen, stuff like that, crossbowmen. But it's set in a dark universe where there was this massive world tree that held all the world together, and in the lore 300 years ago, the lands began to break apart because of these like magicians or arcanists, they called them, were harvesting what they called the heartwood, which was like the roots of this tree.
right.
So yeah, greedy kings and arcanists harvest the heartwood from the roots of the world tree, despite it being forbidden. And the heartwood gave them technologies like incredible flying arc ships and
Wow.
and stuff like that. But now the world has become an endless network of different islands connected not by oceans, but by like roots and branches.
Very cool.
Yeah. So it's basically like a tangled mess, and some of them like last remaining fertile lands become like devastating battlefields, as they each kingdom fights for supremacy of those lands.
That's very cool lore.
Oh yeah, it is sick, and like the models. So basically, what you do is you buy historical miniatures, generally from that sort of Black Powder era, like 1600s to like 1800s maybe, and then you can convert them into whatever you like. I've just bought myself some Prussians. So they're late 1800s Prussians. They've got like pointy hats. It's kind of like just before World War One, but they've still got like musket rifles, right? They're not like
Cool.
not rocking like Garands or anything like that. You know, M16s or anything like that. But so the game appealed to me because of the alternate history kind of thing. Like I froth that. Like anything that's like this is kind of like what it was, but there's a spin. You know? I dig all that shit.
I do. That's why I picked my second game, but we'll talk about that in a
Okay. And like, yeah, so it's like this cruel universe with like arcane kind of like magic involved, but like not like, casting fireballs and stuff. More like, I don't really know how to explain that side of things properly, and they're also multi-base, like so miniatures
cool.
multi-base. So that's going to be cool.
So it's got this cool hobby aspect to it, the converting and the scenics on the multi-base as well.
Yeah.
You said you grab Black Powder era models and you convert them with whatever you like. What kind of stuff are you throwing on them?
Oh, so people just throw like just different like heads, like so they like won't use like the standard like helmets. They'll have like kind of like fantasy style like overdone helmets or like so they don't convert them up like hardcore. Like it's more like a soft kind of conversion.
Yeah, okay.
So they'll just like
just a little like flavor tweak.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. Just so that you can't be like, oh, they're just like redcoats, from the American Civil War. You change them up so they're not glaringly obvious as to what they are.
Yeah. Do you reckon it would still be okay, like kind of still flavorful, just to throw like maybe you're a historical player, you grab your redcoats, throw them in there, and
easy, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like you can make up the lore for whatever you like on them, just because they're like if you've painted them up to be pure historical, like you could still easily chuck them in there and like they wouldn't be out of place.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, you just make up like whatever lore you want to fit them.
Because I
Really,
imagine. Oh no, you go.
no,
You
you
go.
go.
I was going to say, I imagine historical players are like sci-fi players. You've just got a heap of these historical minis made for probably your main two games,
Yeah,
which focus on the Black Powder, Napoleonics or whatever.
yeah.
And then anytime you find a game where you can also use those
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
like throw a bit of a twist on it and a different flavor, so it feels like you're playing an entirely new and fresh game, but
yeah,
you haven't had to do any extra hobby for it.
yeah,
So it sounds like it appeals to them as well as people like you who are like, give me an excuse.
yeah,
It's aside from playing Napoleonics, which you don't really want to do, to be
yeah.
able to play this cool, fantasy-esque
with
game.
with these cool miniatures, exactly. Like,
Yeah.
it must be hard for like a lot of people that do get into their like history war games, historical war games, because like you're painting up, like redcoats, and it's like that's what they are. You can't use them in anything
Yeah.
else except for a historical set in the same time period.
Yeah.
And it's got to make sense. Like you couldn't have them fighting. If it's from the American war, you couldn't have them fighting over in like Africa because it doesn't make sense in the law.
Yeah. How'd they get there?
Yeah, exactly. What are they doing there? But I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. Everything works, but yeah, like to find an excuse to use these miniatures, which can be so like particular, like where the uniform
One-dimensional.
changes from the decade.
Mm.
To use them in something else must be, I don't know, it must be appealing to a lot of historical players.
Yeah.
But like in this game, it uses it's called gore, right? And it is what it is. It is gore. So it uses these tokens to represent the chaos on the battlefield, and the horrors that soldiers face. So
Wow.
whenever a unit suffers a wound, you place a certain amount of gore tokens down next to it. So that can represent, like them getting like limbs blown off or hacked off or whatever, and then that affects their morale sort of phase. So again, I'm not
Fair.
going to get into the rules because like we're not going to teach everyone how to play these games.
I'm ready.
We probably
Teach
don't
me.
know. I mean, I
Teach me,
don't know.
Yeah.
I've got the rules, but man.
Yeah.
So that was really cool too. Like these different tokens that people place down, like just covered in blood, like
Yeah.
and
That's a fresh take on what is effectively a morale-esque mechanic, That's a
Yeah.
very cool thematical touch on it. I like that.
Oh yeah, and morale can be so like dry sometimes. It's just like, okay, I roll
Did
a
you
dice.
lose units? Yeah.
I lost units X amount, run away, and it's like, okay, I'll just take them off the table. But this, I think it just freshens that up a little bit.
Yeah.
There's also a really good blend of different unit types. Like there's magic users like sorcerers and arcanists. There's light and heavy cavalry, field cannons, infantry, like line infantry armed with like muskets and crossbows, swordsmen. There's like, like using that. That's different to me. All that sort of stuff. And that is so appealing to like the blend of magic and history and so arcanists are, for a lack of a better term, they are your sort of quote unquote good wizards.
Sure.
They provide buffs to your troops, and they summon like enchanted weapons to battle and stuff like that. Where sorcerers are the opposite. So they're like they take from the like the darker aspects of the arcana, and they summon like black fog, which blinds the enemies, or they torment the enemy troops with like visions of war and death and stuff like that. So
that's cool. So it's low fantasy in its style. It's not like out there. There's no dragons, or they're not like summoning creatures, or
there's
none of that craziness.
Definitely low fantasy. Yeah. That's a good way to put it. Yeah, absolutely. But oh man, and then like rank and flank games haven't really been a thing to me, but this uses something similar where it's like uses formations. So like you can set up your troops in a formation, like a line formation, which will give your ranged troops like a bonus to their attack. And then you can set your other troops up in columns, which give them a bonus to their defense. So there's a lot of tactics like that.
That is very cool.
Yeah.
I could see you getting sucked right into this. Well,
Dude,
you already have. You're already
I've
doing
already
Prussians.
ordered miniatures. They're coming from the UK.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah.
dedication, dude.
Yeah. So I ordered like a box like of like 10 or 12 or something, like just like troops.
Yeah,
And then I've ordered like some cavalry and a field gun. So I'm gonna have
very cool.
just a little force, you know.
Do they have their own miniatures?
They don't at the moment. They've got someone that 3D prints like heads for your conversions. But that's all they've got at the moment. It's all very it's very new actually. It's only, I think, 2020 it came out.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and you get the rules from Blaster magazine, which has got like, which is in volume 3. So that's got like Ash Barker from
Yep.
Gorilla Miniature Games or something. He's
Yep.
got like his Gamma Wolves game in there, and there's a few other ones. There's like another expansion for Gaslands and stuff like that in this magazine.
Right.
And yeah. So it's about $20 on Drive Through RPG. That's where I got it
Brilliant.
from anyway, I think. Or Wargame Vault, maybe one of them. Yeah,
That's very cool.
yeah,
It does.
yeah.
It does look very cool. I just quickly hit up relicblade.com,
Ah, yes, yep.
which is, I guess, where you get it from.
Might
Oh,
have been, maybe.
relicblade.com/sludge.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I see. Blaster Volume 3. And there's like a
maybe
little.
that's where I got it from. One of them.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
you would have, because if you click the Blaster Volume 3, it takes you through to Drive Through RPG.
Ah, yeah.
But like just some of the pictures of the game.
Man. Yeah.
Yeah, there's something way cooler about this than like, yeah. And the so it's not they're not big square multi bases. It's like
Around 40 mil bases for your standard troops, which is like 40 mil is a pretty small base.
It is.
You know,
Yep.
it's only one size up from like the standard GW size now. It's like what Stormcast Eternals come on. You know, it's not a massive base.
And you got 3 dudes on those.
Yeah, 3 little dudes. Oh man, there's one cool thing with the initiative phase where like most games, you know, it's got alternating activations, which is a good thing, but you roll off for initiative.
Yeah.
If you score a tie, you roll off again. Right now, they call it momentum. It's like the momentum of battle, right? It never stops. It keeps going. So if you win after a tie, you get to activate 2 units before your opponent. So
that's cool.
Yeah. So ties aren't good.
Yeah, no.
Unless you win them.
Yeah. Wow, that is cool.
And like you can voluntarily give initiative to the opposition, and that's called a respite. So you can remove some stress tokens off your troops. It's kind of like everyone's taking a bit of a breather, you know.
Yeah.
Bit of a smokos, but I'd like to know what would happen if like both players wanted to give initiative. Obviously, it ends up in a roll off, you know. But like, So like, check it out. Relic Blade, Drive to RPG. Check out Blaster. Like, even, you know, for the sake of $25 maybe Australian by the time they exchanged, or $30. It's got 6 different games in that book.
Wow.
And Sledge is one of them. Yeah, so it's good.
Wow, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hell yes. That's what I'll be doing for the next, as soon as I arrive, for the next little while, I think.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah.
It's something a bit different, you know. It's probably the most different game we've covered in a while. Maybe
so.
Burrows and Badgers. But I mean, that's, you know, that's high fantasy. That's not too out there, but this one's just like, feels a little bit different.
Yeah.
Very cool, man.
Cool.
I like it.
Hell yeah. So, slap us, dude. What's coming up? What's the last one?
So this last one, because you like those alternate history games, is called Zona Alpha. Now, I couldn't sum this game up any better than they do themselves, so forgive me for copy-pasting a paragraph of their own explanation of their game. But Zona Alpha is a set of simple, fast-paced skirmish rules for scavenging, exploring, and surviving in a near future post-apocalyptic Eastern European setting.
Yep.
Players take on the roles of bandits, mercenaries, military units fighting over the blasted exclusion zones and its abandoned artifacts. customize your fighters with a variety of weapons and specialisms to create your ideal warband. With extended rules for campaigns, character progression, terrain, and environmental hazards, Zona Alpha contains all the tools required to engage in blistering firefights within the exclusion zones.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's like, it's a sci-fi skirmish game, post-apocalyptic, Eastern European. You know, it's not a fresh theme, so to speak.
No.
But it's got a very cool element of it where there's these. It's inspired, by the way. Well, no one knows if it's inspired by it, but it's very similar to Stalker Anomaly, the game Churchy covers on his YouTube channel.
Yep.
Which I've never played and I don't know much about outside of watching Churchy play it. But it's got that kind of vibe to it. Says most people when talking about it. It has these cool exclusion zones that are basically these free-for-all areas that have been abandoned or just too hotly contested. No one controls them per se. It's got abandoned artifacts and relics in there, and you do these runs into these exclusion zones with your gang, with your crew, to try and get scavenged loot and whatnot. So it's played on like a 3x3. It recommends 4x4, but it works really well on a 3x3 or 4x4 map.
Nice.
Uses D10 and D6 dice for like nuanced stats, which is nice. I prefer that over just a flat D6 system.
Yeah, yep.
You only need, like, it's miniature agnostic, so you just need the rules, which you can get a PDF for. It's a, what do you call it? What's the word? It is a Osprey Publishing blue book.
Blue book, yep.
One of the blue books. So, you know, it's a concise rule set, like Billion Suns, produced just as rules, and you do the rest, like you provide the rest.
Yeah.
A couple of dice, get your own, you only need a few tokens. You do require some templates.
Okay.
However, they just, by pure coincidence, are the exact same size as the old 7th edition Games Workshop templates.
Yeah, I think they're like a 3-inch and a 5-inch or something like that anyway.
Yeah, and then the Flamer one, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, those are everywhere on Etsy or people just have them. I think
people
Necromunda
give them away now.
yeah. I feel like Necromunda has them as well. So
I think
people
does.
probably have them. It's a streamlined skirmish game with an insanely cool theme, but I was looking into it. It didn't feel streamlined.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of felt like the most robust 74 pages of a rule book you could hope for, really.
Okay. So I think the rule book is 74 pages.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So, you know, that compares alongside most games. I think even the big rule book from 40K is 100 pages of lore, 100 pages of rules, roughly.
Yeah.
So for this to only be a handful of pages under with less art, it felt like there was a lot in there. It's super well written and super concise.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't waste words, I think, is the difference. It doesn't have to have a whole heap of faction conflicts as well. Yeah. So I think that makes for a really it feels like a really robust game. So
nice.
It uses activations as like its main resource. So better units have more activations. The team with the more activations you have, in theory, the better.
Yeah.
You can perform, just to give you an idea of how the game plays, because the theme it's kind of already been done. Like, the style of the game isn't super new. So
no.
I'll just run you briefly through some of the mechanics to get you an idea of how deep it is.
Yeah.
The actions your crew can perform are aim, attack, climb, inspect, jump, move, prep and throw grenade, rally, recover, reload, or use an item or artifact, or interact with an item. There's like med kits, which is a dope mechanic. There's pinning, different experience levels for your crew when you make them, rookies, hardened, etc.
Nice.
You can play as military, scientists, bandits, independent, cultists, traders. There's heaps. They all have their own motivations for going into the exclusion zones, but these factions are also allied and enemies with each other within the rules. Yeah. So they got that old table that I feel like was also in a 40K book at some point, where it's like, It was
Battle
like this
Brothers.
person's, yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
You had to
that,
like compare it, like who could battle with who, and
yep.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Oh, that was a
So
thing.
yeah, me too for a second.
Yeah,
So the basics of the game is you take your crew and do what's called zone runs.
yeah,
You go into a zone, fight some baddies, get some loot. You fight against zone hostiles like zombies, vermin, rabid dogs, large mutants. They have basic AI compared to some other games, but in the zones, it makes sense because they're defending artifacts, so they don't move far from there, or relics or whatever,
yeah,
because they want to stay near it, kill you,
yeah,
so it
yeah.
doesn't feel like boring AI. It makes sense in the actual game itself. So I was drawn to this game because it's just one of those, like, yeah, they're a dime a dozen. It's like not Frostgrave. What's the sci-fi? Stargrave.
Stargrave. Yeah,
There's some really great sci-fi skirmish games, but this one just had this cool, like, you go into this zone, you pick the difficulty of it. It seems best played as a campaign. I kind of held it up along parsecs, and I was like, the tabletop experience of this game, of Zona Alpha, is far more rewarding than that of
yeah,
parsecs. It just doesn't have the supporting cast around outside the table. Yeah, you can
yeah,
progress and
yeah,
level up your dudes and do the next run, but the thematics of what happens outside of those zones relies upon you to create, as opposed to parsecs, which has that for you.
yeah, yeah.
So I actually think this game is probably really awesome at adapting and playing alongside parsecs as your
Okay.
tabletop experience.
All right. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, the only downside there, I suppose, is it requires you knowing two different rule sets
correct.
and having to combine them. So if you've got the time and the patience, then yeah, have a go, have a suss.
And
Um,
like I like the parsec lore side of things more than the tabletop. In fact, I like that it's simple and just
yeah,
done,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and it's more about you building the story on the table. But I could definitely see after playing 20 games, you might have that little bit of craving for a
yeah.
different, more complex system.
Something a bit deeper.
Yeah, and this
Yeah,
feels like that, or if not, it just seems like a cool one shot.
yeah,
And like
yeah,
running into those exclusion zones with your Eastern European post-apocalyptic gang that you've kit bashed or whatever,
yeah,
just feels like a cool alternate history way of playing, like The Division. When you
yeah,
go into
yeah.
those dark zones
That's right. Yeah,
or dead
that's
zones or
what I
whatever
was
they're called.
thinking of. I just couldn't remember what the game was called.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
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 that's the whole thing. You go into this, uncontrolled area, kill a bunch of dudes, get some loot, and try and get out. So
yeah.
that's cool. Yeah,
If the
I like
game, I haven't done the game justice. It's actually very cool. The theme
Yeah.
is a lot cooler and more nuanced than I've made it out to be. By
Yeah,
because the theme is quite done. They have carved themselves out as a unique game, considering
yeah,
how saturated that
yeah,
particular gaming style is. So go suss it out. Like, who was Ash from
yeah.
Gorilla?
Guerrilla Miniature Games, I think it's called.
He's got a breakdown
GMG.
of the
Yeah,
rules, couple of playthroughs, review, hit it
yeah,
up because that'll, and then you go buy the book and you're done.
yeah,
You
yeah.
just go get your own models and whatnot. So yeah,
Hell yeah, hell yeah.
I thought that.
I've eyed that off a couple of times, but
Oh, so
never
it's not
like
so
pulled the
unfamiliar.
trigger.
Well,
Unfortunately, not.
I'm gonna have to
Dude,
rename the
I'm all
episode.
over that shit.
Yeah, I know. When it was, yeah, exactly. When it was like alternate history, sci-fi, Eastern European, survival, I was like,
Yeah.
Shane's probably already told me about this, in fact. And an Osprey blue book, ticked all your boxes. So I thought maybe you wrote it, but 74 pages. I was like, he hasn't had the time for that.
No.
So yeah, man,
Yeah.
I'm curious. I want to peek at it a bit more. It made me more curious than I thought I would be for another sci-fi skirmish game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'll suss it out. But yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Now, please tell me you've got another tasty morsel for me because I need
I do.
it.
I've got one
Sludge
more.
was so good, but I just want some sweet dessert.
Well, get ready for it because I think this one might be right up your alley.
Oh,
It's called Drowned to Earth.
okay.
It is a skirmish game set
Love
for
it.
2 players. You have crews between 5 and 15 models. It uses 35 scale miniatures, which I thought was interesting.
Hmm.
I mean, we don't see very often. It's generally just 28.
Yep.
But I guess 35 is probably 28 heroic, so
Yeah.
it's probably no different.
Yep. Yep.
It is set in the continent of Eulea, once a continent spanning civilization brought to its knees by a fiery cataclysm. All that's left is ruined buildings and remnants of their incredible technology. They are known as the Builders, who had mastered DNA engineering, bringing life back to the dinosaurs and creating sentient beings like elephants, gorillas, lizards, and more. So it's got dinosaurs. It has
Check.
genetically modified elephants and lizards and gorillas and like all those kind of animals, right?
Excuse me.
You heard. It's set on a continent, so the world's basically been flooded, and the continent that you play on is one big jungle. So with just ruined buildings, and what was mountaintops are now sort of the only little bits of land. So it uses some great like mechanics like swimming, which I can't think of a game which has done that justice.
No
So
way.
swinging, you can swing from like vines like Tarzan.
What?
Yeah. What else? What else has it got? I've written it down here. Swimming, traps, unstable areas, and slippery ground, destructible terrain. So, like, it's got that. That's all the advanced rules, but the rules are free. The basic rules are free on the drownedearth.com. You have to
Say no
pay,
more, dude.
you have to pay for the rulebook to get all the other spicy shit. But so basically the people that are alive today are descendants from the Builders that have basically been thrown into a dark age and are now sort of getting to that point in civilization again where people are farming and making little communities and stuff like that and trading, right? So they've gotten past the dark age where everyone was just killing each other. Now they're starting to come out of it. But there's ancient technology left behind from the Builders, which is what you battle for. So like relics and things like that. Great factions. First one, the Artifactors. So they're basically treasure hunters, grave robbers, scavengers, kind of like that.
Yep.
The Firm, which are like organized criminals, like gangsters.
That's cool.
Yeah. The militia, so they're volunteers that sort of defend their little towns, little villages against the dangers of this continent. The Wayfarers, which are mercenaries. The Bondsmen, which are basically bad mercenaries, so they're like bounty hunters, hide muscle kind of thing. And finally, the Beasts, so you can play as the dinosaurs from Eulea.
That's sweet.
Yeah. It uses a D10 system with a D5, which I thought was very unusual. So
Yeah.
you have a D10 round up.
Okay. That makes sense.
Like a D3, But
Yeah.
I read that. I'm like, D5, okay. It's interesting.
Yeah. As soon as you said that, I was like, I've never seen a D5.
Yeah.
That's funky. But yeah, it makes sense if it's just a halved D10.
Exactly. Alternating activations, like all good games should have. A point system, so like you build your crew with points. It seems like the average crew out of the box is about 100 points, and uses in game it uses a nailed it system, right? So like you don't, not only do you succeed, but do you nail it?
That's cool.
And if you do nail it, then you get a bonus. So it's kind of like a crit. So you can move further, or you can do more damage with your weapon, or if you're firing at a range that exceeds your weapon's range. But if you nail it, you hit them, right?
Yeah, that's cool.
So it uses stuff like that. Combat, like close combat's like a roll off kind of thing. Like so you both players roll at the same time. Winner wins.
That's good.
And then there's different ways to like compare. So like
cool.
like does one nail it? Does one not nail it? And like it's all there. But
so
yeah.
These sound like abstract. Is this like do you kit bash these, or do they have their own models? Or?
So they got their own models, man. So I'm pretty sure they're metal, most of them. It's all I've from what I've found. It seems like the only place to get it from is the UK. It's about the starter set was about £80. So what's that, like $150 Australian?
Okay.
Which gets you like the rule book, faction, dice, tokens, all the stuff you need. Otherwise, individual factions are about £40, so like $80, So that comes like that's like your little army. So you get one they call it tough, which is like a big guy, and then you might get like 4 or so other little dudes.
Cool.
Yeah, they're very cool, man. The sculpts are cool. Like I said, it's got like the one of them I can't remember which it is. The bondsman, maybe their tough is like a big elephant kind of dude. There's like one of them which I think is the militia. It's like a gorilla with like a minigun. It's just like
That's sweet.
yeah.
That's
so
very
it is
cool.
cool. It is very cool.
Oh man,
Moose mentioned it in the Discord just recently, and I think MJ mentioned it even earlier.
That seems to be pretty standard. Those two,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
they're our
They're all
drug
over
dealers.
it.
Just
True.
constantly hitting us with the new. Hey guys, this is the pineapple, the Southeast Asian Pineapple Express.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, that tastes good. We'll have more of that.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. But yeah, very cool. I've been watching the GMG battle reports on it just recently, and yeah, it looks very good, very narrative as well, so
That's
it's all
cool.
about that story and scenarios too. In the rulebook, it comes with a bunch of scenarios, which is I thought was kind of cool. Different missions you can do and stuff like that. But yeah, free rules. Like I think any game with free rules is worth having a look.
Even if it's a dialed down like a basic rule set, and then you can go play the pay for the advanced game once you you like it and you're into it.
Yeah.
That's a great system. Yeah.
But you can like proxy everything. You can get the rules for free and then just start playing it. And then if you like it, you get the free rules. You miss out on a whole bunch of lore. You miss out on all this other stuff. Right? I was looking at it and they basically just chopped it off at the bottom. So you get 86 pages in the free rule book, but the main rule book's got 140 or something like that. There's heaps of pages that you lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely worth having a look at, having a suss. And very terrain heavy as well. They encourage having good multi-level sort of terrain. Dense,
a jungle
very dense. Yeah,
Necromunda.
pretty much. Yeah, so you've got what's left of a skyscraper with a couple of levels just fully overgrown, and the water, the swimming, the boats. It's cool.
Some docks, maybe fishing village of sorts.
Yeah, wonder where you can find those.
Yeah, who knows? Very cool.
Yeah.
Damn.
So that's.
I lied. That's the most different game you've brought to us.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's got this kind of arcadey kind of feel to it.
Yeah. You know what? I can kind of see that. Thinking of what the miniatures look like, I can definitely see that. The gorilla with a minigun is arcadey as you can get.
Yeah.
There's a lizard with a flamethrower.
It sounds. Yeah. I'm imagining Biomutant, which you might not know much about, meets which is genetically engineered creatures living in a jungle that has relics of a forgotten world like skyscrapers and whatnot, meets the goofiness of Kung Fu Panda and with that nailed it system. It just sounds dope. Sounds like a bit of fun.
Just imagine Kung Fu Panda with a RPG or something like that.
Yeah definitely. And dinosaurs.
Yeah, dinosaurs. I'm kind of are they thrown in there? Kinda. They kind of feel like they're just what's this game lacking? And then some dude's dinosaurs. And fuck it, you're so right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, it sounds fun, man. I'm gonna suss that. That's very cool.
Yeah. Well, so that's that. That's Unfamiliar Wargames Volume 3 or Part 3 or Episode 3, whatever you want to call it.
How many? So in theory, if we do 2 episodes each, 2 games each episode, that's 4 every episode.
Yep.
How many of our 12 games can you remember? Obviously, we've done tonight. Sludge, this. What's it called?
What's it called? The Drowned Earth.
The Drowned Earth.
Yeah.
Zona Alpha. Halo. Combat Evolved. I mean, ground combat.
Yep. A Billion Suns.
Yep.
Burrows and Badgers.
Yep.
We did Gaslands in the very first episode.
That's right.
I can't remember what else.
Me neither.
That's all I remember.
Yeah. There's another What is it? There's another 9. No, wait. No, there's not. There's another 5.
Another like 5. Yeah. It's like a whole episode worth we can't think of.
Yeah, legit. And then some.
Yeah.
Those are the games that stood out to me anyways.
Yeah. Now we're going to have to go back and listen. Unless someone can tell us in the comments. That would be great.
Let us know. See if you get to it before we do. And let us know if you've stumbled upon any of these because of our podcast, or any tips for us to suss out on the next episode. Because this is, I'd like this to be a more regular mainstay.
Yeah. It's been a minute. I think we did it like early in the year, the last one.
Yeah.
So it's been a few months.
I want to say we're in the studio maybe. So that was at least a while ago.
I think it was like March or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm finding with these games, we could almost just do one each, because I feel like I left so much off the table for both games.
Same. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah. Anyways, that was a lot of fun, dude. Thanks for bringing those.
No worries, man. I'm glad to hear about your games as well. They were good. I'm getting on that Halo game.
Man. Yeah, let's hit up the Goblins Forge. Print ourselves 2 small factions, and then we just start playing Halo, dude.
That's it.
I'll print out all the stuff we need.
Paint me some Scorpion tanks and warthogs.
Yeah, they're in there, man. Yeah. There's so much cool stuff. Big, like super heavy type things.
Ooh,
yeah, it's gonna be sweet. And like you can play it at any scale. Imagine just like hundreds of grunts. 12 ghosts, some banshees, 3 wraiths, just a mass battle.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have to put much detail, like 15mm grunts, dude. It's like tiny, you know.
Absolutely, yeah. Just like the base colors on it's all you really need.
Sneeze a little bit of contrast on there, and they basically paint themselves. And then we can play that on release of Halo Infinite. Yes, please.
Spicy, love it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed. And time to shout out our patrons.
Always.
So
we're in a perpetual state of shouting out our patrons.
We are. I think I shout them out in dreams sometimes.
I think you do. Do you miss any in dreams? Do you wake up in a fever sweat like, forgot Gritty?
Yeah. I don't shout Gritty.
That's Fox's. So. That's Fox's.
Yeah. It's like, Fox forgot Gritty. It's all right.
Fox forgot Gritty in your dreams. I forget that.
That's a nightmare, dude.
Yeah, I bet.
So, as always, we couldn't do this without you guys. So, massive shout out to Burnsy, Whack, Final Dinosaur, Joey P, Lockie, MJ, Lethal, Moose, and Penny.
Elko, Dave, Churchy, Rad, Oliver, Hockers, Aggro, the aforementioned Gritty. Thank you all so much. You're just legends. That list of names is just straight homies. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, they may not be straight. I don't know. But I mean, you know what I mean.
Yeah. I know what you mean. And also our other homies, which Churchy puts up on the screen, probably before I'm saying this, or after, or not at all.
One of those two, 50-50.
Yeah. So other homies, thank you very much. We can't thank you all enough.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yep. And I'm
going to grab a bev.
Hell yeah. Do some beers and banter.
Oh, let's do it. People listening to this will have already heard Beers and Banter, or at least it'll already be released. Go suss it out. Our Beers and Banter is like our chilled, laid back vibe episode. We still talk hobby. It's just
still
it's chaotic. It's bulk hobby. Yeah. It's just a little bit more chaotic and a little bit more unfiltered, which arguably is better. So
some would say.
Some would say. Some would say.
Some would say otherwise, but some would say.
But we don't worry about them. I've even got my Star Wars beer opener. What do you call it?
I don't know. It's a beer opener. Bottle opener, yeah.
Only for bottles, right? Yeah. Bottle opener. Yeah. So I'm ready to go. So I'll see you all in the past at Beers and Banter.
Time travel shit. All right. See ya.